Return back to Starlight Rares. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So we got our first look at the next upcoming set, and I don't think a lot of people were necessarily too set up about the set configuration coming out here, because it necessarily tells us that we're not going back to something nice. So Duelist Advance is going to be the first pack of 2025. Duelist Advance tentative to be released on Saturday, April 26th. This pack will include powerful new themes, new cards, and strengthen from past popular themes, and cards linked to the short anime, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game The Chronicles. Alright, it also comes with a +1 pack, all that standard stuff that we're used to seeing. But in addition, this set will have 20 prismatic secret rares and 20 secret rares to be recorded with those cards. So basically, we are going back to old OCG configuration out here, which has now opened up the door to people looking at Starlight Rares right now and going, you gotta be shitting me, Robbie. You gotta be kidding me. Like, we're going back to the old configuration, and I hate to tell you this, but it's kind of looking that way, actually. I am not a fan of returning back to Starlight Rares in the capacity that they were. I think we need a change to the way that Starlights are done. And, I mean, Konami TCG could just even shake this up even further beyond and just not return back to the old configuration. They could just very easily rip Starlight Rares out of the set and say, hey, you guys get your secret rares. There's no longer this excitement. The thing that made products so exciting for the last couple of blocks of this sets were the fact that I could buy product, I could hit a quarter century, and I could be excited. You know, I suddenly, you know, I pulled this $300, $400 card. All right, now if you're gonna go back to Starlights, you need to change the way that these Starlights are. You need to make these on the same level that we were doing with, I'm gonna say it, as quarter centuries. You need to not do 5 Starlight Rares. You need to up this to 25 Starlight Rares a set, and you need to make them as commonly frequent as the quarter centuries. And I think at that point in time, everybody would actually kind of be happy with that. There's also the anticipation and the thought of Konami possibly doing collector's rares in core sets. On like the same volume that they do in side sets. You know, you could pull a collector's rare, for example, out here as one of these particular cards. I don't hate the idea of having collector's rares be a replacement for this. Having collector's rares in the set as a possible pull would not be too bad either. The other cool thing with that thought is if they're going to return, you could incorporate collector's rares, and you could also incorporate Starlight Rares simultaneously. You can still keep the 1 to 2 cases, or the 2 cases that former Starlight Rares were, but there needs to be that incentive, because I don't think people understand here that if we just roll back to Starlight Rares out here, then the dramatic value of opening up Yu-Gi-Oh! Sealed product flushes down the toilet, and we go into an era of, oh shit, this is not even worth opening. And Konami's going to hurt their own sales out here. Quarter centuries were a good and a bad thing. They showed that the player base could get excited about opening up cases of product. Stores could open up more volume, and there would be more available to you. All right, that's a major thing, is availability. Because if stores are opening a product, that brings down card prices, because that means more is in circulation. If you take away quarter centuries at this point, and I don't know why people weren't necessarily ready for this discussion out here. Because people have been so spoiled by quarter centuries that when they're like, final call, that's it, that's a wrap, everybody. When they made that final call, people didn't realize that future Yu-Gi-Oh! Product value is going to flush down the shitter unless we get a reconfiguration and a reassessment of, you know, placement of cards in the set. That's why I said this is a call to arms now, because if we don't actually do something about this, things are going to be a lot worse in the upcoming months, and it's going to be very, very rough to work with. Now, I'm already kind of starting to see, with the fairly recent support that we've got out here, good old Konami actually kind of restarted a little bit of the Starlight market. I mean, the Starlight market has been flatlining for a little while now, because, you know, quarter centuries were just slightly easier to pull on some of these old classic cards. And I mean, Konami also kind of destroyed a lot of the faith that the Starlights had in the game. And you're telling me out here that we're going back to Starlight Rares after you already destroyed the market and the faith that the community had with you in those. That's another thing that I don't think people are really ready to have the discussion on. Is, if we are going back to Starlights, are we going to have a return of faith back into these cards? Are we going to be believing in these, or are we just going to let Konami roll over and pummel us into the ground? I am really hoping that they are going to take a notice of configurations for Starlight Rares. And if we are going to go back to them, I'm fine with 25 a set. Make them an option to pull. I would be cool with that. If we are going to bring over keep Starlights as a 5 per, you better be bringing collector's rares into these sets as an actual option of things to pull, because we cannot go back to the way things were. You are going to leave a very bad taste in your community's mouth that you're rolling off of this massive celebration of things, and you're like, all right, guys, sorry. You guys got excited to pull these cards. We're going to slash the value of your product again, and we're going right back on down the shitter. That's not what we need right now. Actually, that is the worst possible thing that we could be seeing, and especially as we are getting ready to head on into the holidays out here, literally tomorrow. I want you all to be very, very aware of what's happening in the later half of 2025 right now on paper. The OCG has already gutted out quarter centuries. We're done with them. They've already announced that they're going back to the old set configuration over there. With the way that the TCG side is looking, we are probably going to follow suit and do a reversion on our product. This also means that we're not going to have ultimate rares in the set. It's going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, and that's not good. On the flip side of things, I did mention that the Starlight market has already been kind of trying to restart itself. The Evil Twins are definitely bouncing back and forth right now. I'm curious to know what you guys as a community think. Do you think that, we can go back to Starlight Rares on the same volume that we could? Because I love estimated value of product looking like absolute and utter dog water before sets are even released, because some of those quarter centuries were an extra $100, $200 of value that would actually make you break even, or just make you lose $100. And I know, how dare I forget that 5 hedges don't buy Yu-Gi-Oh product then, Imco40. You're stupid for picking up product. No, I'm not actually. I've always loved opening up product. I don't do it in major volumes like I used to. I love, like the deck build set that we just had, I loved opening up a case of it just to kind of see what high rarity cards that I could get, and also, nice little shiny upgrades. But I also got my Rizal deck right out of the case. I didn't have to worry about the hassle of doing pre-orders. And, if I picked up, an extra core or two along the way, I could go sell that, which I ended up pulling literally -1 field spell, enough for a second Malice core, which literally just got me to where I needed to be. I think we were 2 Rizal cards. We almost pulled 2 full cores out of 1 case of that set. And that literally pretty much made me my value back on that set. Like, that was good. But you're going to have to think about it. If there's no displacement of rarity out here, then that's going to push cards to a higher volume. And I don't think people really understand that. Like, well, I'm just going to go buy a product from the vendors. Well, vendors aren't going to open up the product if there's not a good estimation of value to be had in those sets. Quarter centuries were a very, very nice thing out here to have for the higher rarity of things. And to just take that away doesn't look good for 2025. So, you guys ready for the return back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Products being absolutely unopenable? I am super excited, aren't you? And what do you think Konami can do to try to fix this whole little future situation that it kind of feels like that we have brewing out here? 2025 is going to be a very interesting year, but, making sure that you maintain your, consumer, making your consumers happy, making sure that, your player base can be excited for things. Those are very, very important things. And if you're going to start tinkering around with that, well, you're going to have some issues, and that's going to make people very, very upset. So I actually kind of like where the game has been fairly recently. If we're going to start tinkering around with shit, You're coming down below what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys.
Patrons.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.